Alright, slight spoiler for my Elden Ring review when I eventually get to it. I think Elden Ring is an amazing game. One of the top Souls games I've ever played. In fact, it's the first Souls game I've ever beaten. But while I do enjoy this game, there are just a couple of things that irk me about this game. And I'm going to go through them. Alright, so this one's kind of a nitpick, so do with it what you will. But the Stormveil points of grace kind of bother me because, well, it's just a straight line. I mean, that's all it is. It's a straight line. There was no reason for there to be three so close to the one to the other. Like at the beginning, I understand. At the end, I understand just before you get to the castle. But come on, man, was it really this necessary? I mean, look, look how long it takes to get through this. No time at all. And were they afraid that the players were going to get lost? I mean, it's not like there were any enemies nearby, like in that one staircase in Dark Souls 3. So why Miyazaki decided to do this, I don't know. Just saying that it's kind of pointless, to add 3 points of grace right behind the other. Especially considering that the points of grace seem to span out a little more the further in you go. Alright, next I want to talk about Melina. You meet her pretty early on, and it seems like she's going to be a major character throughout the game. And to some extent she is, but she only pops up like a handful of times. Okay, I'm not saying that she had to be at every point of grace that we were at, but just, about halfway through, you kind of forget she's there. She's just a very underutilized character. And I hate that, considering that she plays a major part in this game's story, and including the lore, but we hardly get to see her. And it's just frustrating. When the emotional scene comes up and we're supposed to get, sad because our maiden has sacrificed herself for us to defeat the greater evil. I feel nothing. I feel nothing. I don't know what it is. I don't feel nothing. Maybe it's because she's not at the points of grace, just kind of hanging out. She only pops up like a handful of times and then buggers off. Nice way of putting it. She pops back up again once you make it to the capital city, and she just kind of abandons you after that. And then she'll pop back up to help you fight the boss there, and then she's gone again for another couple hours until you make it past the mountaintop of the giants boss. So yeah, Melina is a wasted character. Speaking of waste of characters, Torrent, who you meet early on, like Melina, is kind of a waste. And much like Melina, you kind of forget she's there. Torrent is more of a mechanic, really, than a piece of the story. There is some story and lore involved with him, considering he's given to you by Melina, and Ronnie, the witch, seems to know more of his existence. But I mean, other than that, Torrent is really just a way for you to traverse the large open world that FromSoft has developed. But really, outside of traversal, he's not really much of use. He has no attack. You can't take him inside castles or dungeons, which is understandable. It'd be kind of awkward having a giant horse just running through like these tight areas. But other than that, there's just like there's really you like I said, you kind of forget about them, and by the time the end of the game comes up, it's like, oh yeah, wait, I have a horse, and then come to find out you can't really use them for some reason. So if you're playing like the base PS4 version, then you can't use Torrent in the final boss fight, which probably would have helped Miyazaki. Just saying. But in the PS5 version, they fixed that. I don't think the boss fight is any better, to be honest. But hey, that's just me though. All right, next I want to talk about Renala, who is frankly the easiest boss in the entire game. She is the main boss of the Raya Lucaria area, and I don't know, man. I don't really have a problem with this boss fight, except for the fact that it's the next major boss fight right after Godric, and considering his boss fight was extremely challenging, to come to this one, it was like, I don't know. Something didn't feel right. Like, even after the boss fight, I was like, that was it? She does have two stages. The first one, as you see, is where you gotta deactivate her shield, pretty much, by attacking these little singing sweetings, as she calls them. And then her second boss fight is one where she will actually face you head on, but she will spam her magic attacks. As long as you get a good wallop on her and don't let her spam them, she's pretty easy to take down. I mean, there's nothing really to her. Still a better boss fight than Moog, in my opinion. Next, I want to talk about the other easiest boss fight, Sir Gideon Ofnir, the All-Knowing. He, much like Renala, is a magic user. He spams pretty much all of his attacks. But honestly, if you have a good heavy weapon and you just stun lock him, you can defeat him pretty easily. What I like to do is usually get him while he's talking. But if you do that, generally you'll miss a major plot point, which I will not spoil, because there are still a lot of people who haven't played this game yet. But yeah, he's really not that difficult of a boss, but yeah, he does spam his stuff. But like I said, good heavy weapon, couple stun locks, he'll be defeated in no time. Alright, next I want to talk about the hardest boss fight in the game, and that being the Fire Giant. First of all, fuck this guy. I know a lot of people say he's an easy boss fight, but for me, he was not. So, fuck him. To put this into context, the hardest boss fight in the game, being Melina, took me 3 days to defeat her. You know how long it took me to defeat this motherfucker? 3 weeks. 3 whole weeks. And maybe it was because I wasn't playing right. Maybe it wasn't my build wasn't correct. I don't know. Either way, I did not have a lot of fun with this boss. It was very annoying, very tedious. And the thing that really irked me was the fact that while fighting him was not the hardest thing, it was more or less dealing with the camera and his constant movements. Because if you lock onto him, which I did a lot and probably shouldn't have done, the camera tends to flip out because the camera does not know how to react to huge NPCs or bosses. So, yeah, it just made it very, very difficult. Plus his wide sweeping area of effect attacks, like his shield and fire, it more or less made for a very difficult time. Not to mention that he has 2 phases. His second phase I found to be the most annoying, considering he likes to roll around a lot. And the camera also having a very hard time of dealing, keeping up with him, I guess. So yeah, Fire Giant, very, very difficult boss for me. I hate this giant. I hate this fight. I hate this boss. It can go screw itself. And frankly, if I never play this game again, I will never miss this boss fight again. I really won't. Alright, next up is the Ratigan, and more specifically the Elden Beast fight, considering Ratigan is just the first phase. So Ratigan, the part with Ratigan is not so hard in itself. It's actually a fairly decent boss battle. The real problem is the Elden Beast. The Elden Beast is much like the Fire Giant, has a large arena and just constantly moves, has wide sweeping area of attacks. I did not find the Elden Beast to be that difficult, like the Fire Giant. Just very tedious. I don't know how to explain it. I think it would have made it a little bit better if I could have used Torrent to cover this large span of area that the Elden Beast has for its battle arena. But when I first played this game, it was on the PS4, or at least it was the PS4 version, and I didn't have the horse, so it took a good long while, because it can go from one end of the arena to the other and like seconds flat. Meanwhile, you're running at a very slow pace, it seems, just to get to the other side. But yeah, the fact that it's the final boss, it's really not that difficult. It's just mainly dealing with the camera, because like the Fire Giant, it will freak out if you lock onto it and you're like right up on it. But other than that, it's not the hardest boss. That still is, in my opinion, the Fire Giant. It's just dealing with the camera mechanics and all that. That's all it is. Alright, next are the endings. There are 6 endings total for the base game. 2 of them are there are only 2 different ones, and the rest are just the same, pretty much, with a different skybox and some different dialogue. I don't know if it was a thing with like time constraints, budgets, or what, but I don't know. I feel like they could have given, this game, each individual endings, their own thing. Like the Age of Stars, or with Ronnie the Witch, and the Lord of the Frenzied Flame ending are like the most 2 unique ones. The rest of them, like I said, are just pretty much the same thing. And it's, considering you got to go on these special quests with all these different characters from the game, I don't know why they didn't make an individual cutscene like for these characters. Like, these characters give you quests and then you complete it, that's it. They tell you to summon them and it'll bring in this new age. But it all is the same on these other endings. You sitting on a throne while the narrator from the beginning just kind of sits there and goes, yeah, this is the age we're living in now. That's it. There's really nothing else to it. I don't know. The endings feel just kind of haphazard, just slapped together. And I get it. This is a large game with like multiple characters, and there's like many different endings. And they even claim that, it could be a multiversal affair kind of thing. I don't know. It's just, I feel like it could have been a little bit better, in my opinion. But that's just me. I don't know. The endings are fine. But like I said, the most 2 important ones, you can either destroy the world or go to space with a doll. That's it. The rest of them are just kind of in my opinion. So, yeah, take of that what you will. You guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so very much for watching. If you like this kind of content, leave a like and consider subscribing, as this really helps me in the algorithm. And if you have anything that you want to say that irked you about Elden Ring, feel free to leave it down in the comments down below. And I want to give a special shout out to these individual pages for their for letting me borrow their videos, more or less. Thank you, Shirako, for your videos. Thank you to Games from Mars for yours. I also want to thank Mad Luigi for your video about Torrent, and Bandai Namco, of course. Can't forget you guys. I also want to thank Stev Does Big Jumps. And yeah, go check out their channels if you feel so inclined for more Elden Ring content. And I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for watching. And until next time, this is That Gamer Guy logging off.